When we work together, we win together. Who's here from Wenatchee Learns? Anybody here? Yeah, there they are. All right. So for folks who don't know, what you saw up there was a great example of career-connected learning. But Wenatchee started this effort as a community planning process to change the economic trajectory for their young people. And career-connected learning was the solution. So we're thrilled to see what they've come up with, and there's more. And what you may not know is that these are the folks who are here today from Wenatchee Learns. There are a whole bunch more people out in Wenatchee who are now joining us via live feeds. And there are 26 additional sites across the state that are now joining us through live feeds across the state. You can see the list of sites across the state. Every corner of the state is joining us. About 900 more people joining the 400 people here today. Let's give them a rousing welcome. Woo! So for the folks that are joining for the first time, I'm Elaine Papadakis, the Executive Director of your state's Workforce Board, and we are thrilled to have you joining us. Couple of shout outs. I mean, you can see the range of locations across the state from small to large. I want to give a shout out to our first site that signed on, filled up, and actually had to change locations because they had so many people sign up, and that was Okanagan. Woohoo! And you know, I also want to say that most of the sites out there were very low cost or free because organizations in those communities contributed so that absolutely every member of the community that wanted to participate and wanted to attend was able to attend, including scholarships for transportation, because in some communities, people had to commute a very long way to get to these sites. What this is about is the power of a movement for a really great idea. And today we're talking about a policy framework to institutionalize and scale up career-connected learning. And I had said to folks earlier today that you know, the people in this room have been doing career-connected learning. For folks out in the regional sites, in this room, we have a lot of experts, a lot of folks who've been doing career-connected learning. In the regional sites, and they're kind of ahead of the people in this room to some extent, because what they're talking about is how they're going to scale up career-connected learning in their communities. So they're taking the policy frameworks and the work that you've all done, and they're figuring out how they're going to make it real, institutionalize it, and scale it up. So this is why I say, you know, I've been doing this work. I hate to say this out loud because it scares me, but almost 40 years. And today is the first time I feel truly confident that we are going to have a statewide career-connected learning system in Washington. And I want to thank every one of you for this. So you're going to hear a little bit more about the policy framework in just a little bit, but you're going to hear first from some national and state leaders about their vision and some of the work that they're doing on this very topic. I'm going to start with somebody who has been a diehard supporter of all aspects of career-connected learning, not just for our young people, but also for our adults to get better connected to career pathways and on a trajectory to economic success. From when he was a legislator and now in his new role as Superintendent of Public Instruction, I want to welcome Superintendent Chris Rakedal. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. And for those on our remote sites, thank you for being here and engaging in this statewide conversation. What a remarkable time in Washington state history. I feel like we are poised to be a state among all states that says we're going to do something very different, very transformative over the next 5 or 10 years. And we're going to put this state on the map like we've never been in terms of our commitment to career-connected learning, to CTE pathways, to connecting our employers and our youth in ways we've never done it before. The consequences could not be bigger. You're sitting in a building on a campus, and for those of you who are remote, I'll remind you we're on the Microsoft campus, founded under the concept that we can do something significantly different if we take risk. The very foundation of this company in this state has been about us asking ourselves, how could we get better productivity, better results? How can we improve our overall sense of connectedness to our community, even as that community has gone from one town and one city and one county and one state to a planet? How do we do that differently? I think we transform our public schools to meet the needs of everything that you're going to talk about today. From transforming early learning and engaging in those critical 3- and 4-year-old years, to thinking about global citizens, not once they're in high school and college, but right there as kindergartners in language acquisition. But let me be more specific than that. Our high school system has to be transformative. It has to move beyond the idea that when we start as 14-year-olds, we all end at exactly the same place as 18-year-olds. 50% of your students who start as 14-year-olds in the state do not ever step on a college campus. Not their passions, not their interests. If it is, we should absolutely empower them. But when it's not, that should be okay. We should wrap our arms around every student and say, your passion and your pathway is our primary interest. So a 9th and 10th grade core system that focuses on high school proficiency, the real basics that get every student prepared for meaningful pathways, and then a giant leap into 11th and 12th grade articulated pathways with very individualized high school and beyond plans, completely digitized so that counselors, teachers, kids, parents, business leaders, everyone can see that student's pathway and help them navigate to the world of work. We spend $3 billion or more every year in this state on the high school years. $3 billion in taxpayer money to get a 14-year-old to become a graduate at 18. And I would suggest to you when 20% of them drop out and 30% of them never step on a campus, we are not designing $1.5 billion of those dollars appropriately where we could tremendously refocus those dollars on real pathways that connect kids to work, giving them credit for work, getting them connected with employers so they're learning real world skills while they get high school credit and dual credit in our higher ed system in case they make a decision to do something different. So here's where I'll finish. The consequences, as I said, could not be bigger. Every student that leaves us is a $370,000 loss in lifetime earnings, just the difference between graduating from high school and dropping out. That's the difference between self-sustaining lives and once again relying on the public sector in criminal justice, acute health care, the social safety net. These decisions we make in these rooms, this policy framework we build for the next couple of years, this isn't about getting a few more kids to graduate. This is about getting 18,000 more to graduate and 40,000 young people every year connected to something they're passionate about. It's a multi-billion-dollar savings down the road when we do it right today. This is our moment. Washington has been a pioneer in the United States in technology and in innovation and in risk-taking. And if we aren't prepared to do that in our education system, then I fear that the next great innovation won't be in Redmond or Tumwater or Yakima or Wenatchee or Spokane. It's going to be someplace where our kids don't have the opportunity that we dream of for them. This is our moment. I cannot thank you enough for being here. Let's stay engaged in the conversation. Let's build those public-private partnerships. Let's focus on the individual needs of kids because we are way beyond a one-size-fits-all system. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Simon with the National Governors Association.
Good morning. It's great to be a part of this amazing event. And Chris, Washington State is on the map when it comes to career-connected learning. You're one of the leading states that we point to when we're talking with other states. So I just wanted to assure you of that. This is such an important event. When my colleague Kimberly Hogue and I were talking about participating, we were concerned we weren't going to be able to get in because registration was going to be closed. So thank you, Nova, for letting us attend this. Chris said I'm with the National Governors Association, and at NGA, we greatly appreciate the leadership of Governor Inslee. Governor Inslee co-chairs our Education and Workforce Committee, and at the winter meeting, we bring governors together twice a year, and at the winter meeting, Governor Inslee led a conversation on the importance of early childhood education in building a talent pipeline in the state. And so, again, we greatly appreciate that. And Chris, I appreciated your reference to the importance of early childhood education. It is the starting point of building a talent pipeline that supports our economic prosperity across the country and in each state. Earlier, John Altman said that this event is the culmination of 18 months of hard work on the part of a cross-agency state team and many others that have a stake in building a skilled workforce in Washington State. At NGA, we've been working with governors and their staff and agency leaders for the past 10 years on talent pipeline strategies to ensure that the current and future workforce has the knowledge and skills to have a successful career, and employers have the skilled workers they need to be competitive, and then in turn, state and local communities can prosper. Work-based learning is a key element of a successful talent pipeline. It helps to ensure that young people that are entering the workforce know how their education and training applies in the workplace, and also for acquiring the employability skills so that they do succeed on the job and have a successful career. It is truly about career-connected learning, which work-based learning is referred to here in Washington State. I'm glad that you branded it to be your own. Washington State was one of 6 states competitively selected to be a part of the Work-Based Learning Policy Academy. Along with Washington, the 5 other states have been having a lot of success over these past 18 months. This culminating event is a good example of Washington's success. Let me share a few successes from other states. For example, in Montana, they passed a tax credit to support registered apprenticeship, and they're going to be launching a portal next month with credible information on work-based learning opportunities that'll be of value to young people, parents, as well as employers. In Idaho, they expanded funding for work-based learning that included $3 million for registered apprenticeship, and they incorporated work-based learning into their broader Future Ready Iowa initiative, which was a major initiative of Governor Branstad's. Utah launched Talent Ready Utah, with work-based learning being a key element as part of a goal in Utah to create 40,000 new jobs in high-growth industries so that young people would have opportunities as they took advantage of work-based learning opportunities. And then in Indiana, they have set an ambitious goal of providing every post-secondary education student with a work-based learning opportunity, and then building on that by expanding it to secondary education students. So a lot of great achievements going on as part of this policy academy across the country. One of the key reasons that Washington was selected to be a part of this policy academy was the extensive collaboration that you have underway across the partners. And you have 70 organizations that have signed on to participate in this, and you have 26 sites that across the state that are participating in this event today. That extensive collaboration surpasses all the other states that are part of this policy academy. Not to say that they're not collaborating there, but the extensiveness of this was certainly an important reason why you were selected to be a part of this. You're all working on putting in place a policy framework to ensure that young people are successful and employers can prosper. Elaine's going to talk a little bit more about that later. For me, it's been a pleasure to work with the Washington team over these past 18 months, and I look forward to continuing that. I want to thank you all for contributing to this very important effort and changing lives of young people every day. So with that, I'm going to introduce the next speaker. David Etzweiler is the CEO of the Siemens Foundation. Under his leadership, the foundation has increasingly focused on STEM education, their STEM education efforts and their workforce development, middle skills efforts here in the United States. Before joining Siemens, David led the Decade of Discovery in Diabetes, which is a partnership of the Mayo Clinic, the University of Minnesota, and the state of Minnesota. And he spent 13 years with Medtronic Incorporated as a VP of Community Affairs and the Executive Director of Medtronic Foundation. David earned a law degree cum laude at the University of Minnesota, and before taking on leadership roles in philanthropy, practiced law with a focus on charitable giving, estate planning, and nonprofit management. David also serves on the boards of the Siemens Foundation and the World Affairs Council in Washington, D.C. His leadership is often at the intersection of business, government, and philanthropy. The Siemens Foundation support for this event and the work-based learning project as a whole has been greatly appreciated. And just recently, David and the Siemens Foundation announced that they would be supporting the work-based learning project for another 2 years. We greatly appreciate that. It's my pleasure to introduce David Etzweiler, the CEO of the Siemens Foundation.
Well, thank you, Martin. Thank you for the introduction, but more importantly, thank you for the partnership and the leadership. It's really a wonderful opportunity for me to be here to celebrate with you and to learn with you already in the brief time that I've been here this morning, just to not only hear about new concepts, but also understand better how to articulate those concepts to new audiences has been so important. And like I said, it's great to be here to celebrate with you. You have much to be proud of. I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking a little bit about what we are doing at the Siemens Foundation in the middle skill area, and in particular, why we are focused there, because I think it is something that we all share in common here in terms of what's happening, what the opportunities and what the challenges are in our country today, and they are great on both sides of that statement. Our work really starts with the belief that one of the greatest challenges that we have in this country right now is the loss of the social compact, the deal, if you will, that we have had in this country for so long, that if you work hard, that you set goals, you get your education, and you move through your career path, that there's an opportunity to really move ahead in this country, and that would benefit not only you, but would benefit your family, would benefit the community at large, and that was the ticket to the middle class, and at least a ticket to a livable wage. So that is a key part of why we are a part of this work now. Of course, there are more than a few reasons for that loss in this country. And so understanding who Siemens is as an industry leader and workforce pioneer is really important to understanding why we are focused on the middle skill arena. And for those of you not familiar with Siemens, let me briefly go through what Siemens does here in the US and around the world. Siemens is in deep in the STEM industries that grow our economy and support innovation around the globe. We support the digital factory of the 21st century online, support cybersecurity of small, medium, and large enterprises across the country, protect life in hospitals and other medical facilities by providing critical imaging systems, source energy for the US from oil and gas to wind and other renewables and distributes it to our homes and to our businesses. And Siemens keeps our society mobile, getting us from point A to point B on both light and heavy rail systems. In fact, I just noticed a week or two ago, those of you driving home through the traffic today, I noticed that there were another 30 light rail vehicles that Siemens was bringing to Seattle, which is, I'm sure, a relief for many of you. But as you can see, Siemens is investing in the 21st century STEM-skilled workforce. We need to keep these industries moving forward, including our work at the foundation. This is the reason at the Siemens Foundation, we are all about STEM. Too often, though, as all of you know, people forget that STEM jobs include those that do not require a 4-year degree and are achieved through a 2-year degree, an apprenticeship, or another path. Those jobs, often referred to as middle skill technical or skilled, are family and community sustaining and are launching pads into a lifelong career in growing STEM industries full of possibilities and opportunity. Unfortunately, of course, far too many of our young adults in the US are not poised to take on these careers, leaving them behind in the race to economic sufficiency. And we at the Siemens Foundation, along with many in this room, are working to close this opportunity gap for young adults in the US and to strengthen the talent pipeline for US STEM employers at the same time through our STEM Middle Skill Initiative, which we launched in 2015. Let me show you a visual of what the STEM Middle Skill Initiative is all about. We are working on 3 flanks to address this very critical issue. First, we are accelerating training models that work, like apprenticeships and work-based learning. This conference and the work that we have been doing together the last couple of years is really the shining example of that, but there are others. Second, we're rehabbing the image of middle skill jobs and the educational pathways that enable young adults to secure these jobs. And all of us know that telling this story well and making sure that we show this story to folks is really key to overcoming some bias that we have had for too long in this country when it comes to middle skill jobs. Third, we're elevating the economic opportunity available in STEM middle skill jobs by raising it consistently in the national dialogue in education, talent development, and inequality. Through our partnerships, we're tackling some of the most pressing challenges in growing the middle skill workforce at the Siemens Foundation. We are exploring opportunities and challenges for expanding apprenticeships in the United States and the public-private partnerships necessary to support them. We are supporting states and local communities in their efforts to attract and recruit students into career technical education, expanding effective work-based learning programs for young adults and employers, and sharing those best practices widely, researching best practices and scaling apprenticeship in the American high school, and recognizing exemplary young adults in STEM community college programs and educating their peers about STEM technical careers through their stories. And on that last point, I would invite you to visit the Siemens Foundation website to see what we've done with the Aspen Institute and really bringing those stories to life, really through the eyes and the voices of folks who are in those middle skill arenas and whose lives have been changed so powerfully. Our targeted strategy is carried out in our grant work with leading national partners, such as the National Governors Association, who organize the Work-Based Learning Academy and support your work across Washington State at this Governor's Summit. And as many of you heard at our last cross-state meeting in Montana, we are launching the next phase of the Work-Based Learning Academy with NGA later this fall with a new cohort of states in partnership with leaders like you who can share the challenges and the victories. And we are so appreciative of those of you who have already agreed to serve as mentors to the next cohort. Hopefully it is clear through our work more broadly and the investments that we have made here in Washington State through our partners at NGA and Advanced CTE that we believe in the promise of career technical education and work-based learning. It is an underutilized model, and we are on a mission to get it to be a normalized way of business and education in this country with partners like you here in Washington State. We are incredibly proud of your work here in Washington State, and I hope you are as well. And I just want to pause because seeing that map today and hearing what has happened in this state and to hear about a career of 40 years and realize that this is really a renaissance or a revolution that has taken hold in this country, but really taken hold in states who are leading like Washington State, is really something for all of you to celebrate. The amazing support you have received from Governor Inslee and his leadership across the board speaks volumes about your dedication to the next generation of workers, and so I thank you.
All righty. So we are running just a little bit behind, but this is where the rubber meets the road. And you all have this document in front of you. 1,300 people across the state have this document in their hands today. And this, we have to thank NGA and the Siemens Foundation. This is the policy framework that we've been taunting you with all day. So this has been the culmination of the 18 months of work where we worked with all these folks, the 65 organizations, almost 70 organizations. We also scanned the field, Washington STEM, worked with 22 learning laboratories. We put word out to community and technical colleges, K-12 organizations, youth service organizations across the state to say what would make the difference to you, to actually scale up and institutionalize for the long term career-connected learning. And here we go. I'm going to take you through it reasonably quickly, starting from the top. So for folks who's, okay, there you go. This is sort of a circle of life document because no one piece is more important than another. So while it's got some order to it, there's no one that's a priority. But I am going to start at the top, this public-private partnership to create long-term, high-impact, career-ready system. Now, I'm not going to steal the governor's thunder and talk about the state level leadership on this, but leadership, multi-stakeholder leadership is critically important at the local, community, regional level. And so when I said that the regional sites are kind of ahead of the game, this is what's going on now. They are building that leadership at the community level now to figure out how to build the village that actually creates the institution for career-connected learning for every young person in their communities. If you go to down to the, well, we'll go to the left, build connections between industry and educators. So what we heard loudly and clearly was that educators feel like they don't really get trained to understand how industry works, right? They get trained to understand how the classroom works. So you think about teachers who go through high school, college, and then go into the classroom. What do they know about the private sector workplace, right? So just like we're saying about young people needing to have that experience in the workplace, teachers do too. And so there's some great examples. Anyone here from Spokane teach the teacher program? No? Okay. Oh, over there. You know, this bright light in my eye makes it very hard. Okay, so folks who want to know about one of the best examples of teacher externships, Spokane's Teach the Teacher program. Absolutely wonderful, and it's been going on for like 10 years, right? 7, 10, I round up. Okay. All right, expand awareness of and access to registered youth and adult apprenticeships. You're going to hear a bit more about youth apprenticeship a little later on today, but many folks know this, but the Workforce Board does its workforce training results, which shows that apprenticeship is the best return on investment for, you know, dollar for dollar. I think for every dollar invested, public investment, it's like 91 bucks for every dollar invested. You know, it does better than even college degrees, right? So we need more of them. Strengthen the high school and beyond plan. Young people need the opportunity to start visualizing a successful economic future for themselves, especially for our most disadvantaged young people. They don't have the opportunity to see their futures, a successful future in their communities. If the people around them aren't working, how are they going to see that? So we've got to give them those opportunities, and that's what an effective high school and beyond plan strategy will do. Expand and support career-connected learning access in rural and underserved communities. We really need to hear from our regional sites. This is one, we know that the efforts that we do in urban communities is very different. The resources are there in urban communities. Employers are all around. It's not true in rural communities, and we have got to figure out how to get those resources, how to get the connections to employer sites for rural communities. It's going to look very different. So let's figure that one out together. Increase access to training and resources. We know that there is great information. We've got to package it differently in the form of toolkits for teachers and practitioners that are out there. And we have a lot of information already. Thank you, Washington STEM, for its work with the learning laboratories. But we also have a group of stakeholder partners that are working together to develop more. And as you do more career-connected learning, we're going to have a repository to bring more in so we can get it out to folks. Okay, and then build stronger mentorship programs. And this is what our morning speaker talked about, right? We need to have caring adults who can talk to young people about career pathways and guide them and help them through the transitions to the world of work. Many folks know this, but 20 years ago, when there was no real information on how to transition, especially disadvantaged young people, into the world of work, I co-authored a book on mentorship. Thankfully, there's lots more information and lots more research out there now. Are AJAC folks here? Are there folks from AJAC here? I know AJAC uses a training manual now. There's a lot of information out there for mentorship. So this is the crux of what we're trying to do. It's really important that you spend some time with this. We want your feedback. We want to know how to expand this. We want to know about the details that go behind this. So there's going to be a lot more to come on this, and you're going to hear about next steps a little later on. So the next speaker I want to introduce you to is Chauncey Lennon, who is with JP Morgan Chase, and I have the good fortune of knowing Chauncey from other connections, some national organizations. Chauncey's spent a lot of years studying workforce development intervention, and I'm thrilled to have you here as a partner with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chauncey.
Good morning. So we are so pleased that JP Morgan Chase is a co-sponsor with Microsoft of the Governor's Career Connected Learning Summit. And obviously, if you've been here all morning, you can see just why that's the case. It's a tremendous opportunity to learn and see the vision for a very strong future. Together, we believe that every young person deserves a pathway to economic opportunity. To compete for jobs, students must first acquire skills that prepare them for both post-secondary and career success. That's why advancing high-quality career pathways represent a signature workforce priority for our companies. Today's summit is the central gathering point for a movement that promises a different trajectory for youth here in Washington State and across the country. At JP Morgan Chase, we believe that education must connect to the labor market if we are to prepare for competitive 21st century workforce. Business partners need to reimagine how we work with schools so that our talent requirements articulate with the student experience and graduate profile. On behalf of JP Morgan Chase, we are thrilled to announce a $1 million grant to Washington STEM to support the implementation of a regional career-connected learning program in Washington State. This investment will support high school and opportunity youth programs through employer-based partnerships, pre-apprenticeships, mentorships, and job shadowing in the STEM field. Over the next 3 years, Washington STEM will align regional efforts to evaluate CCL programs for effectiveness, support scaling of the most promising programs, and prepare them to serve as models for the state. As background, this grant supporting this work is part of a larger global initiative we've made investing in skills in the US and abroad, what we call our New Skills at Work initiative. This initiative aims to help people develop the skills they need to compete for today's jobs. And in addition to the New Skills at Work initiative, we've also launched a complementary New Skills for Youth initiative, focused in particular on youth and improving career readiness for young people. You know, I think as the video we all saw at the start of this morning's segment so nicely discussed, we need a new approach to education that prepares students for whatever happens post-secondary, whether that's career or college. There are several reasons why this issue matters to us and why we made this commitment to workforce development. First, as the country's largest financial services firms, we spend our days talking to businesses of all shapes and sizes in every sector about the challenges they are facing in attracting the right kind of talent, often talent that has the technical training for middle skill jobs that they need to be competitive today. Second, we have the unique ability to engage with these businesses and build bridges between employers, education and training providers, and job seekers. One of the perennial challenges in the workforce development field has been the need for more business leadership that galvanizes greater engagement with the demand side of the labor market. Ultimately, we want to move the needle on skills and economic opportunity. It's employers on the demand side of the market that will have the resources to make this happen. Third, and finally, as a foundation focused on our most struggling and under-resourced communities, we see that economic success is increasingly out of reach for many of our people, especially our young people, who lack the opportunities, skills, and resources to prosper in today's new economy. We will need all of your efforts working in concert and rowing together to successfully move the needle on in a long-lasting fashion. So thank you for your leadership, for the opportunity to be part of this important work. And now I'm pleased to invite up to the stage one of the leading thinkers in Seattle and in the state on keeping Washington's economy strong. Please join me in welcoming President and CEO of the Seattle Chamber of Commerce, Maud Dodon.
Thanks, Chase. Wow, I think we ought to give like twice as loud a round of applause for that announcement. So can you do that again? And David at Siemens, thank you so much. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like this really is coming together. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. So I'm Maud Dodon. I'm the president and CEO of the Seattle Chamber. That's my day job. I also have the honor of serving as the chair of the board of the Washington Student Achievement Council. And who here knows what that is? Okay, so about half of you know. So let me just do a quick. The legislature charged the Washington Student Achievement Council, commonly known as WASAC, to do four things: to make accessible, to align, to make affordable, and to increase attainment, the entire spectrum from cradle through to career in our educational system in Washington State. So Governor Inslee, probably 5 years ago now, called me to his office and asked me if I would be on this group. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to do this. And the thing I think I'm most proud of about the work, and there's many people who have contributed mightily to this. It's represented by all the sectors in the state, all the educational participants in the state, is to agree on two attainment goals that the legislature almost unanimously passed a couple years ago. Who here knows what those attainment goals are? Chris Reichdahl, he gets an A+. And this is why I wanted to talk about it, because so few people actually know the legislature and the governor signed it, said we are going to commit to two things. One, 100% of Washingtonians between the ages of 25 and 44 years old are going to have a high school degree or the equivalent, 100%. And this is all by 2023. Secondly, 70% of that same population group are going to have some kind of post-secondary credential. It could be a certificate, it could be apprenticeship credential. It'd be awesome if it was a 2-year or a 4-year or even beyond degree. But that number, that 70% number, was not pulled out of the air. It was actually what is required to keep our economy going. It's what employers need. We need people with that skill set to enter the workforce. So how are we doing on that? How are we doing? Well, we're making progress, but we're making progress slowly. I would say in the high school degree completion, we're getting better, and we've seen tremendous strides in our K-12 system, but we still have a gap of, say, 10% if you're looking at that population I talked about. And then in the post-secondary category, we're probably about 50% compared to the 70% we need to be. And I am going to say to you, I think career-connected learning is the way to close that gap. So I am totally excited to be here today. The Chamber is engaged in a regional cohort that's working hard on trying to better connect people who need opportunity to jobs that we have. And I think many of you know, we just had a study published in the state that there are 940,000 jobs coming at us in the next 5 years that would need to be filled. And our goal in the region is to fill as many as we can with Washington State people, to connect to those people and to make it easy for them to transition to get some kind of credential, to get into that middle skill pathway kind of job that's going to lead them towards a wonderful career and a lifelong way to support a family. So, having said all that, it is my great pleasure at this stage to introduce 3 people, all at the same time, who are going to join me, who are, I think, exemplary leaders in this cause. The first is Perry England. He is the chair of the board of the Workforce Development Council, and you've met Eleni a minute ago. Hi, Perry. How are you? Perry is also a leader in Seattle in the business community with McDonald Miller. So Perry and I have crossed paths many times in work in Seattle. So I'm very excited about the work you're doing on this topic.
Thank you.
Secondly, and the next 2 folks really actually need no introduction at all. We have Brad Smith, who is the President and Chief Legal Officer at Microsoft, as everybody knows. Brad inspires me every time I'm in the room with him. He is brilliant. Hi, Brad. He's thoughtful, and he cares so much about the state, and there's so many things that he has created and made possible through the generosity of Microsoft and his own heart to make this a better place. So I really want to thank Brad for his incredible leadership. Thank you. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, the governor of the state of Washington, Governor Jay Inslee. And I last saw Governor Inslee, actually. Hi, Jay. Nice to see you. When we were in Mexico a couple weeks ago. And I want to just spend 2 seconds telling you that story because the governor came down for a very brief span of time because he's very busy with the legislative session to help create better connections for trade reasons to Mexico. And while there, I want to share with you that he focused on career-connected learning. He learned about how the Mexican government, education, and business is aligned to actually connect the 100,000 engineers that they graduate every single year, 100,000 engineers, STEM people, to jobs. And many companies are choosing to locate in Guadalajara and Mexico City as a result of this. This is our competition. So we cannot sit idly by. We need to keep working very hard on the mission of STEM education, career-connected learning, and we have 3 fantastic leaders who are going to help us do that. Thank you.
All right. So am I up? I guess I'm up. Well, good morning. I am so excited to be here. Maude, Brad, Perry. This is a great place to launch a revolution in career-connected learning. It's a great campus, given the fact that Microsoft has revolutionized software. It's a great place to revolutionize career-connected learning. And it's a great state to revolutionize career-connected learning because our state has a habit of leading the nation University of Washington women's crew just won the national championship. Western Washington women's crew just won the national championship, Division II. And today we are starting a program where we will have in the state of Washington the best career connected learning curriculum and system in the United States. And I'm excited to say that. We have exactly what it takes to make that happen, because we've got a partnership that's one of the broadest partnerships I've ever seen that really wants to rock and roll when it comes to career and technical education. 61 agencies, all the way from WSU Extension to the Workforce Development to K through 12 schools to our STEM Alliance. Anybody and everybody in the state of Washington who's interested in education has already come to the line and wants to help us launch this career and technical education, career connected learning. I'd like to, if I can, tell you why I'm so excited about this. It comes from two passions of mine. One, I hate to see intellectual talent go to waste. And the fact of the matter is we are losing tremendous intellectual capability in our state because we're allowing people to go through high school and frankly kind of founder for 10 years, really looking for their future. So right now the average age for a technical college is 28. Well, essentially you get people sort of looking around for what they're really going to do in a career for 10 years, then they go back to technical school. We do not want to lose that decade of lost opportunity for young people. The second reason I'm so passionate about this is there's really nothing more exciting as a governor or any other job you've got is when you see somebody's eyes light up when they have a vision statement for their future. And I've seen this happen. I'll just tell you about one young man I met named Sam Yost. He's at Stadium High School. Sam was one of the member of the very first apprenticeship class of 12 people that we now have in the very first apprenticeship program of high school students in the state of Washington. We got a picture up here. And Sam is a guy who gets up, he starts his day at 6:30. He spends till 2 o'clock in the school. He goes to band early. Then he goes to quality stamping and machine in Sumner, where he's learning how to draw airplane parts using design software. And it's because he's an apprenticeship in our very first apprenticeship program in state history. That's going to combine 2,000 hours of paid on-the-job apprenticeship training with college-level instruction that he can use toward a diploma, journey-level card, and college certificate. And when you see those 24 eyes light up as I did, you know we're onto something here. Because these are kids, instead of just, I don't want to demean Brad's games. They're great. I love Brad's games. But instead of playing just Brad's games, they've got a vision. They got a vision statement. And now when they go to algebra class, they can understand why algebra class is important as well. So they're not only having a paid experience on site where they mix it up with real people doing real work, but they now understand why their high school work is relevant as well. So at the end of this program, Sam would have earned $28,000 and be ready to join the workforce upon graduation. So we know this can excite the passions of young people. We know that it's certainly needed. Maud trumped me. She said we've got about 900,000 jobs we're going to have to fill. The number I've heard is 740,000. But whatever the number is, we know that we have a high-tech future with advanced manufacturing, with coding, and every other high-tech system you can think of. And we're going to have to get these kind of programs going if we're going to fill these jobs. So I want to thank you personally for being engaged in this. Something that's new does not happen with leadership from all different levels. And I've partnered with the National Governors Association. That's what led to this meeting here, the Workforce Board, and the Washington STEM. We've identified 21 learning labs throughout the state that are engaging in this promising career-connected learning activities. So that's why I'm excited to announce the launch of this task force. And we're going to call it the Career Connect Washington. It's a not too fancy name, but I think that it fits. And we're going to build on the work that's already been done. And our statewide goal is to have 70% of our students earn a post-secondary credential, starting that work while you're in high school. The task force is going to consist of people from the public and private sector to help us design these policies. We're going to have a very high-level delegation go to Switzerland to learn about the youth apprenticeship model there. Now, I want to thank our former ambassador, Susie Levine, and her husband, Eric, for turning on the state of Washington to this effort. Susie was our ambassador to Switzerland, and she got to see a very advanced apprenticeship model in work, where something like over 50% of the students are in these apprenticeship models. So they are ready to go to work, doing advanced manufacturing the day they get out of high school. And here's what happens because they do this in Switzerland. Their unemployment rate for 19, 20-year-olds is no greater than any other age group in the economy, which is about 3%. That is a beautiful goal for the state of Washington. And I'm excited to try to replicate it here. Our 5-year goal is to connect 100,000 youth to high-demand, high-wage careers. Now, we've done the first 12, so we've got a few more to do. But I believe it is possible to do that because this is what they call in the business a no-brainer when it comes in the investment in your youth and your economy. So this year in my budget, I proposed $6 million for career-connected learning, and this we hope to be matched 1-for-1 with private investment capital. And if the legislature to run with this idea, those investments would get us closer to our goal of having 50,000 students access in the short term. I have another announcement. We like good announcements here. I'll have one here today. We've already been joined by a private partner that is investing $1 million in this effort. How about a shout out to JP Morgan and Chase Company, who will pay for career connected learning in 3 state regions focused on STEM. I'm also pleased to announce a $1 million investment from our federal partners in career connected learning through Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funds. Additionally, $350,000 of Department of Commerce grants have been awarded to Apprenti, which is the first registered technology apprenticeship in the nation. These apprenticeship programs focus on women and minorities and veterans, such as the folks you see on the screen. So we're ready to rock and roll on this. I want to thank Chris Rickdahl for his leadership on this. And I want to say this too, it is exciting to lead the country. We do have the opportunity to lead the country in this effort. And you're going to hear more presidential candidates in the future talk about this. We're going to be doing it while they're talking about it. We're going to be showing apprenticeship programs all across the state of Washington while people are talking about it. And we're going to grow jobs and businesses because we're going to actually put apprentices on the ground. So again, I want to thank you for your personal leadership on this. I hope you'll try to find a way to plug into this effort. And now we get a great leader who's led in so many educational issues, who is going to co-chair this effort with Perry, and that's Brad Smith. Brad, thanks for your leadership.
Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be here and just say a few words this morning. I first want to second what I know Jane Broom said earlier. On behalf of all of us at Microsoft, we're just thrilled to have all of you here today. We're thrilled to have Governor Inslee. And I also want to say, Governor, thank you, because I'm looking forward to telling all of the employees that work at Microsoft Studios that what they really do is produce Brad's games. That's going to be a news flash for all of that. But in all seriousness, this is a great day and I think an important moment. Yeah, the challenge and the opportunity are clear. You heard there's roughly 750,000 jobs that are going to be created in this state in the next 5 years that we have the opportunity to help fill. And as the governor said, a lot of these are STEM jobs, roughly a third. Most of these jobs are going to require that people go beyond high school and earn some kind of post-secondary credential. And I think it's a terrific goal for all of us to say that working together, we will find a way to ensure that 100,000 of our state's youth have the opportunity to succeed, earn this kind of credential, and most importantly, get this kind of job that will simply, I think, define their future. this comes at such a great time as well, because there's been a lot of progress that gives us real momentum on which to build. The high school graduation rate has been increasing in recent years. We're seeing STEM education strengthen around the state through efforts from the state, from the superintendent of public instruction, from groups like Washington STEM. We're seeing, thanks to the governor's leadership, computer science count towards graduation. We're getting computer science into more of our schools. All of these are important building blocks as we think about the future for career-connected learning. And as I personally had the opportunity to see last year when Susie and Eric Levine showed a number of us around Bern and Zurich, Switzerland, there's a lot that we can borrow from the rest of the world and realize the governor's ambition of making Washington State the first state in the country in terms of building these new opportunities. That's why I'm so excited to work with Perry as co-chair for this task force. I think it's such a good time to think about some of the immediate steps ahead for all of us. We still have, even though it's almost June, as we all know, a legislature that is still working on the budget. And there is therefore still a very important proposal, as the governor mentioned, a proposal that we at Microsoft have supported since the day he announced it. This concept of putting $12 million to good use with a new public-private partnership to advance career-connected learning. That is something we hope the legislature will get across the finish line, and if it does, then we at Microsoft will help support and help fund this $12 million goal. But that's one important step. The work of this task force is the other, because we all have the opportunity to learn from so many of you in this room, learn from other states and countries around the world, and put together our best ideas for advancing apprenticeships for people across this state. One of the fascinating things about Washington State is we have a great tradition of apprenticeship work. But as the governor mentioned, it is not today targeted at our youth. The average apprentice in the state is 27 years old. And that's where we have the opportunity to innovate, to take some new steps, to reach down to help people even when they're still in high school and shortly afterwards, and to create more opportunities for them here in this state to join the ranks of our economy. And when you look at opportunities for low-income students, for people in the rural communities across the state, for people of color, this is just so clearly another important step that we can take. So we as a company are solidly behind this new initiative. I'm looking forward to spending some of my time personally to help make it a success. And as we do that, I think we do it, and I think I speak for Perry and myself in saying that at the end of the day, it's going to be the collective knowledge and expertise and enthusiasm and energy of all of you in this room that are going to be critical for us making this real. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad, for the introduction. Thank you, Governor, too, for this opportunity. And Brad, from a workforce board perspective, really looking forward to co-chairing this task force with you under the leadership of the governor's office. So thank you both again. As a business person, a parent of 2 young children in public education, and chair of our state's workforce board, I am committed to strengthening the connection between Washington's employers and young people. This focus on business and industry, our workforce systems customers, is central to what we do as a board. It's one reason the Workforce Board was selected for a National Governors Association Policy Academy grant. And for this, I say thank you to the NGA and also to the Siemens Foundation for your support and financial contribution. This grant, along with dozens of meetings, 70+ partners, and the commitment of Governor Inslee, is why we are participating in this summit. One thing is for certain, we need business community at the table to make this work. Businesses must be engaged and truly excited about helping create the career-connected learning opportunities for our youth. Partnering with businesses is a top priority for the state's workforce plan, which is known as Talent and Prosperity for All. Leave no doubt, when we say for all, we mean for all. Absolutely no one should be left behind, and no business should falter for want of talented workers. From a historical perspective, career-connected learning is not a new concept for your state's workforce board. It's integrated in everything we do. Today with you, we are taking it to a new level. This is the right moment to intensify the momentum on an issue we cared about, have researched, and have advocated for years. Working with the business and industry community, we can get this done to the benefit and satisfaction of every young person and every business in Washington State. I trust my commitment on behalf of the Workforce Board and my employer, McDonnell Miller, Brad's commitment on behalf of Microsoft, and especially Governor Inslee's commitment inspires you to sign on to this movement. Thank you. I want to turn it over to Eleni to navigate us through the lunch transition.
All right.
Thanks, Terry. And thank you. Before everybody leaves, so we're actually going to be saying goodbye to our 26 regional sites. So if we could give another round of applause to all those 900 people that have been joining us. Yay, thank you all. And I want to say thank you to the host sites, to all of the facilitators, and especially thank you to the Washington State University Extension, to Monica Babine and Deborah Hansen, and to the Confluence Technology Center, and to our technology folks here at Microsoft, for whom this would not have happened. So yes, thank you to all of them. Okay, and now we're running a little behind, but you're going to go to lunch, and if you look at the back of your agenda, there's a map, and lunch is in the Baker Hood rooms. There are also meeting rooms. I think folks have different things going on. It doesn't say it in your agenda, but there are some activities over lunch, so don't spend a lot of time checking email and making phone calls, okay? Get on in. All right? Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor. Yay.